Let us welcome Dr. Meena Venkataraman on the People of Nature platform. In her 20 years of experience, Dr. Meena has contributed to numerous wildlife projects that have highlighted threat status and conservation concerns of various mammal species, including habitat-specific distribution of small mammals, captive management of elephants, surveys on Nilgiri tahar, and other endangered mammals of South Asia. And most important has been the Asiatic lions, which has been the study subject for Dr. Meena since 2002. We have a very interesting personality today with us. So let's not waste much time on discussing all the background that she has, but let's hear it from her. So welcome Dr. Meena to our platform, People of Nature.
Hi, Pankaj. Thank you for having me.
So we will head to our questions one by one, and we would really love to uh, listen from you about your life journey, your life story, and all the kind of different works that you have been doing.
All
So
right, sure.
yes, so my first question to you is about uh, mammals. Most of your research work is centered on mammals of India. Was there a triggering point for studying mammals? How has been your journey so far?
Oh, yeah, that's interesting questions. Yeah, I find mammals very interesting. They are very relatable. Like you just now
Mhm.
said, I've studied mammal distributions, community
Yeah.
ecology, and a lot of their
Mhm.
behavior. So there are many interesting facets, and I find them very, fascinating. And I've been drawn to, mammals as a topic of research.
Yeah.
And of late, mammals are the ones that are, in so-called conflict situations with people. And when you, since I've been studying this topic for a few years now,
Mhm.
um, and now seeing it from the mammals' perspective, their resilience, their adaptive abilities are very, very, phenomenal, and often, people don't look at it from that point of view because the word
Yeah.
like tolerant word is used more for people's attitude towards animals. I feel
Yeah.
that's also true for animals, and their potential to cause harm is much more than what actually happens. So this is the space which I am studying now, and it's very complex. The human animal
Mhm.
interface, and overall, the perceptive nature, the
Mhm.
intelligence and adaptability of mammals is very
Yeah.
interesting. And of course, they are the most visible taxa as well.
Yeah.
So all these factors, just makes me want to study mammals, and I am eager to, spread and learn more about mammals everywhere, particularly in other parts of India. Of course, if not mammals, I would be interested in birds. That's
Okay.
another taxa that interests me as well. Of course, you can get me interested in ordinates as well. so, so yeah, that's why I like mammals.
Great, great. So that was a amazing answer as such. You already given a 360-degree view of what a person studying mammal would be looking for. So my next question to you is in connection with your work that you have already done on mammals, and we all know that you have studied Asiatic lions very closely. I feel that working with lions must be adventurous, but perhaps at the same time dangerous. Correct me if I'm wrong. In fact, you have spent, I think, almost 5 years specifically studying Asiatic lions for your PhD. So, how was your experience?
Yeah, you're right. I spent 5 years, doing during my PhD, studying lion behavior. That
Mhm.
work was very intense, and it was hard work. We used to track lions and stay with them all day and some nights. It was
Mhm.
certainly a risky job. I wouldn't exactly call it dangerous. All the more so because once inside the jungle, we were lost to the world. There was no means of communication.
Yeah.
those were the days without mobile phones. At least I didn't own one. And so till we came out and we were able to communicate with other people, anything can happen. And
Yeah.
thankfully, I would say that I had only great experiences, and probably blessed to have such a dedicated span of time to study a wild animal, just watching its behavior. So it may not be possible. That kind of opportunity may not be come for other people today for so many other reasons. So, and
Mhm.
also I had some three uh, trackers who
Okay.
kept me safe and guided me in the forest. So I think that was the most important part of my working there for
Mhm.
such a long period of time. So this time, I would say that I had the opportunity to watch lions. They
Mhm.
mate, raise cubs, fight each other, hunt and feed. Sometimes
Wow.
also, uh, turn in aggression towards us. But most of the time, they let us in to come and uh, watch them for
Good.
all these behaviors. Um,
Mhm.
and at the end of it, I was able to put together a study that described for the first time the unique
Mhm.
social behavior of lions as compared with the
Okay.
African counterparts, and very interesting findings about mate sharing and reproductive strategies of lions. So, in all, I think apart from the risk factor and all these
Mhm.
small negative parts, I think the overall experience was very positive and very good.
Wow. Great, great to know that. So, I mean, it. I really feel thrilled that someone is working on Asiatic lions so closely. My next question is about the work culture. That when you are working there or during your PhD, perhaps after your PhD, do you
Yeah.
think being a women scientist, it's challenging to work in a male-dominated domain? And would you like to share any field challenges you faced during your work?
Yeah, certainly. I didn't realize it back then.
Mm-hmm.
You just kept doing your thing, and your focus was on, on the work so much that when
Yeah.
I look back, uh,
Mm-hmm.
I am or not. Also, I realized the risk also, and what a male-dominated field this is.
Mm-hmm.
There were, I would say, there were women researchers even back then, but here I will
Yeah.
speak of my personal experience. So,
Mm-hmm.
my supervisors were male. The forest department had only men back then.
Yes. Yes.
Interact the people of the villages were all men. The
Mm-hmm.
shopkeepers or whatever, they were the ones who were there. And then my field assistants and the trackers, the legendary trackers of the forest department, we used to work closely with them. The
Mm-hmm.
staff, everybody was male. Okay.
Right.
And the local media also wrote about me, sometimes negatively. They were
Okay.
also men. So but today I see so many women in the forest department, the guards and
Yes.
foresters. The government had taken some special uh, you know
Yeah.
efforts to employ women staff. And
Mm-hmm.
then we also have in Gir guides, in tourism, who are ladies from the local villages. So now today I see a lot of women there. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, I feel very pleased and flattered when some of the uniformed lady staff come and tell me that I was their inspiration, and
Oh,
they'd seen me as there was a
that's
documentary,
great.
or they'd seen me doing work, and I feel very, very
Mm-hmm.
pleased. And then later on, I would say that my colleagues who followed me, who benefited from the strong baseline work that I had done
Mm-hmm.
in those hard working years,
Mm-hmm.
that they had also gained from the kind of hard work that I had, foundation that I had made. So
Right.
the moral of the story is, if you allow women to step in, she can inspire and achieve so much. So it's all in retrospect that I've realized this journey, and how it has, you know. Um,
Mm-hmm.
how what an experience it has been, and an inspiration for so many other people. So I think these were the challenges, you see.
Mm-hmm.
But Pankaj,
Mm-hmm.
what what is what is important to recognize is, see, when we choose a profession,
Yeah.
we choose the risk as well, right? We know
Yes.
what are the so-called professional hazards. uh,
Yes.
so back then I told you that I was a lone woman working among so many
Yeah.
men, but I got a lot of respect for that from the local people,
Mm-hmm.
or from whatever the immediately who are involved with my day-to-day activities. People were very kind and generous. Okay, so the people of the village took care of me, and and my trackers took care of me. The lions did not harm me at any point. So I would say that you come out to do something, and things do fall in place, and a lot of your
Yeah.
behavior towards other people also determines what sort of feedback you get from other people.
Right.
And so now what I will do is not speak about myself. So far, I've
Mm-hmm.
been talking about my experiences, but now I'll
Yeah.
speak about uh, women professionals in the field as such. So
Mm-hmm.
the field challenges of studying a dangerous carnivore, or being alone
Yeah.
in a state with a different language, all that was challenges along the way. But I
Yeah.
would say that what all of us women we face is the educated peers,
Mm-hmm.
who choose not to acknowledge your work.
Oh.
uh, so they don't adequately acknowledge, so the
Yes.
jobs and the
Mm-hmm.
the important positions, they are not open
Right.
to us that well. And if you say tomorrow, if there is to be a committee for, say, a land
Mhm.
conservation planning or something, you can be sure that I will not be there. So
Oh.
I think the real challenge is in the recognition from the peers. It doesn't actually happen when you're doing the work, but
Mm-hmm.
subsequently, there are so many barriers that
I see. I see.
that are there for you to
Yeah.
actually propel forward. I would proudly say that I'm still there, and I'm somehow continuing. I work independently, I'm doing my work, but
Yeah.
potentially I could be doing much much more. So that's what I
Okay.
feel is the setback.
I see. I see. That was actually a lot to take in. So you mentioned about field challenges as well as, I guess, academic challenges, which we never talked about earlier. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, just I would tell you that whenever there have been many interviews since I worked. Not one women's day has not gone
mm,
without somebody reaching out to chat about my work. But there's
mhm.
always been only about a woman going and studying a carnivore. Okay, it is not
Yeah.
about a woman in the profession. So
Yes.
over the years, I find that is where we have to look
Mm,
into, rather
right.
than what it takes to do such kind of daring work.
Right. Right. Yeah. Wow. That was a lot. So, but you mentioned about the conservation planning. So my next question is actually about that. So
Yeah,
you have been working on Asiatic lions, I think, for more than 10 years, I guess, and
20 years now.
20 years. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, and we all know that IUCN Red List has categorized them under endangered species.
Yeah.
So, what is your opinion? What kind of conservation management we should be applying for a better future for the Asiatic lions?
Yes. So Asiatic lion is a great success story and a great model of conservation. Uh,
Hmm.
you know, in global success story. So it
Okay.
used to be critically endangered, then it was downlisted to endangered, and
Hmm.
the latest one it will probably come to vulnerable. Okay.
Oh, nice.
Uh, yeah. So So IUCN has its own set of guidelines,
Yes.
which is uniform across taxa and everything.
Yeah.
It's a our most importantly in our country we have the Wildlife Protection Act,
Yeah.
which makes the lion a Schedule One animal.
Hmm.
So I think that is a very strong point for protecting our lions, and
Okay.
I think the IUCN category indicates our the journey of our lions from being
Hmm.
very on the brink of extinction today to a
Yeah.
growing population. It tells a good story, and
Hmm.
of course, once this there are a little other facets to it in the global trade and other things. We have to be more watchful about our lions. What happens,
Hmm.
we'll see. Uh, so it's a good thing, but still, we can't sit back and say this much is achieved. We still have to put all our efforts to keep the lions,
Hmm.
surviving and in alive
Yeah.
in the Gir forest, the Gir landscape.
Right. Right. So in this conservation model that we have been discussing, is the local community playing a role?
Well, the I would say the lion's share of the
Yeah.
success of lion's survival today is because of the local people. Of course,
Mhm.
there is a dedicated management which has also been, they have also evolved with the scenario of lions. First, there was a
Mhm.
protected area, the gate protected area, all the inputs of keeping it compact and
Right. Right.
enforcing some conservation management
Mhm.
within the protected area. Once lines
Yes.
started dispersing around, say, I think 90s. So
Mhm.
the conservation tools have also evolved with this new scenario where
Yeah.
outside lions are in the villages killing
Mhm.
livestock sometimes, and human beings are hurt or
Mhm.
killed,
Yeah.
in whatever the circumstances. So I think in all this, if I use the word tolerance in the first part
Mhm.
of my talk also.
Yes.
So I think people are just not just tolerant. I have been studying, I've been interacting with people, I've been working in the human interface areas for again 10 years now. It's
Okay.
just that tolerance is a mild word. I think
Mhm.
they have a pride and love for lions, which is very very
Mhm.
remarkable. And I
Right.
think this cultural connection that people have with lions and other wildlife that is responsible for lions surviving. You won't believe nearly 50% of lions today are out of the protected area in the human landscape. So
Oh.
yes, so that's the
Mm.
situation now, and we certainly need the positive attitude of the local
Yes.
community towards lion. So we have to sustain that, and that's very very important for lions to survive.
Wow. So they do play a very important role in land conservation.
Certainly, yes, certainly.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, being a large carnivore and people, playing an important role in its conservation is really
Yeah.
something, and that may just happen in India.
Yeah, so people are seeing them in their crop fields, or passing through the villages and
Hmm.
village vicinity during the night, or
Yes.
sometimes they are close to the village feeding on their own livestock. So all that
Yeah.
is something that is difficult to visualize, but it does happen.
Oh, okay. Wow, interesting. So, I mean, we do have a lot of strong programs for large mammal conservation in India. I mean, Project Tiger and Project Elephant and so on. But the small mammal projects are not widespread. So, what is your opinion about it? Do we? I mean, there has to be a national level, some policies or implementation of the some of the projects that needs to be done for smaller mammals, such as caracal or Nilgiri martin or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're taking our conversation to a very interesting, track here.
Hmm.
See, Pankaj, we know that tigers and elephants are all flagship species,
Yes.
and they have been the face of our conservation efforts. And in fact, we've been very successful in that part. And
Hmm.
the tiger has helped us to secure, or the elephant has helped us to secure, good
Yeah.
habitats and other species, the entire ecology of that particular place.
Yes.
Um, and in fact, the All India Tiger Census, with this large efforts of camera trappings, have given us so much
Hmm.
insights into these elusive species, and so many new records and all have come up. I'm
Yes.
not sure if all that data has been collated
Hmm.
and reported well enough. Apart from some odd note here and there, I don't know if there has been a good synthesis of all that information. That has
Hmm.
also generated a lot of information about these
Yeah.
elusive species. And having said that, we have to accept that our charismatic species are ones that people are interested in. They are the ones that they are popular, and they have to
Yeah.
be continue to be our flagship. No doubt about that.
Yes.
And I feel the important thing is for professionals, wildlife biologists and
Hmm.
all that, to draw attention, to do those surveys, to get concrete information. You cannot say perhaps this
Hmm.
species is there, maybe this is the threat.
Right.
We need to take problems to the
Hmm.
managers or the
Yeah.
policymakers and say,
Yes.
this is the problem with this species. Can you do
Hmm.
this action to save it, like that? So we
Right.
need to generate that information. So then,
Right.
where is the what is the action to be taken? So
Hmm.
we have to look at our grants, what is available. Okay.
Right.
uh, and those grants have to be made available, earmarked for these kind of
Yes.
surveys and studies. uh, More than surveys, nobody does natural history work anymore. Those are
Hmm.
also very, very important. So we
Yes.
need those support grants, and we need subject expert for each taxa who will review the
Hmm.
proposals from students and all that. So we seem to have the same set of reviewers across all taxa deciding, so
Hmm.
they will
Yeah.
say this bird is more important than this animal, and like
Right.
that. So, and then we in the panels we have journalists, naturalists,
Mhm.
filmmakers, and all that. They have their orientation, their way of thinking.
Right.
Uh, and another thing is, uh, grants will ask what will be your conservation outcome, whether they are giving
Yes.
5 lakh for a month or 20 lakhs for 5 years. They want a
Mhm.
conservation outcome. So that question has to go out of the window, and we need,
Mhm.
not we should have more people with the grants, not the same people guarding the door. So that way we should have a diversity of topics. Okay. So if,
Um,
you know everything cannot have a direct conservation outcome. So if I study
right.
one caracal today, it will grow into five. Not like that.
Mhm.
So if we have a diversity of studies, this will add up to give us some insights on where the
Right.
threats are. And
Right.
so I think students would be interested in doing that, but you need money for doing
Yes.
a variety of studies, and I think that's the most important. That will generate concrete information, and with that
Mhm.
we can go to the policymakers and say, please take these actions. So the fault lies with us, not with policy.
Right. So you're saying that we have to develop this entire process, starting with the research, generating data, and then based on that data, analyzing and coming up with
Certainly.
some recommendations. And then the
Absolutely.
last level would be the policy
Yeah.
decisions.
Absolutely.
Yes, interesting. And the funds is like a major issue here.
Yeah, there are most postgraduate students, uh, the
Mm.
students have to just pick up their bags and go and do a research. Okay, neither they
Right.
have the wisdom or maturity to understand conservation.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to first of all have
Yes.
the maturity to empathize with some problems or understand things, and they
Right.
just without money, what how much they're doing quite well, but I think we need a more systematic way of doing these
Right.
things.
So, since we are talking about mentorship and students involved in wildlife conservation, uh, you are also a mentor to a lot of young students who are budding wildlife biologists. So, being a mentor, what are your observations about the youth entering into wildlife conservation? Both like positive and negative stories. If you could, tell us about your
Yeah,
experience.
past, present, whenever it is, I feel when you have a eye on your achievement, other things become
Mhm.
incidental, and for that
Mhm.
you have to be very prepared and do your homework. There's a lot of reading and understanding should start even before you actually do your work. So there's three parts to
Right.
it. The
Yes.
research before and the field work, and then the discipline to write it up and go all the way to
Yeah.
synthesize your work. That is also equally important. Now,
Right.
uh, I find that students are still interested, but how much they want to invest. They usually have some
Mhm.
favorite. The field work is probably used to be the most favorite, but even that they don't spend like to spend more than
Mhm.
long time there. I think they get
I see.
in in spite of a lot more facilities and all available, the
Mhm.
equipment and all is so much better. You can just be fully equipped when you go, with all these
Yes.
available, the proper shoes and the gear and
Yeah.
everything. So that way, I think this generation is much better, and they understand the software and all that very
Yeah.
well, and they are very hands on with all that. uh, I, since I come from that school, I think still the field time spent, whether it's watching your animal, going to people,
Mhm.
and living in that landscape, uh, I think that lot of understanding comes from that, and then you need to spend enough time to not quick.
Mhm.
You go do two interviews and somebody says no, no, we don't like line, then you come and just write it. But you should be able to collate everything that you have, right?
Yes.
Sometimes even your statistics may lead you in one direction, but
Yeah.
your experience and everything, it has to be brought together very well.
Right.
And I think the patience part is very much is what required.
Mhm.
And I think overall it was true even then, it is true even now.
Mhm.
So nothing can replace hard work,
Yes.
and of course it helps to have good mentors. That is very, very
Mhm.
important to guide students.
Yeah. So, in fact, I would agree with you. On all these points. I've been experiencing the same. So, I know that we have been a privileged generation, having a lot of tools and gadgets available with us compared to
Yeah,
the past generations.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean the upcoming youth who is in the field, they also have even more access than we had at our time. So I think
yeah.
that just goes on, but the qualities that you mentioned, I think, are very important for being a successful researcher as such, or a passionate researcher who can do justice to the work.
Right, absolutely. And of course, there should be enough career opportunities. That is very,
Yeah.
very important. So that can make or break a person's, how far a person
Yes.
will go with this interest.
Right. Right. Very true. So with that, I'll come to the last question that I have,
Yeah.
and that's about. So we talked about conservationists, we talked about researchers and all, but do you have any specific message for our audience? How can they contribute to our wildlife conservation?
Yeah, layman audience or people who are not professionals,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that I would certainly like them to be is responsible tourists.
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to a say a Gir or Kanha or
Mm-hmm.
something, that desperation with which people, you know, uh, uh, they pressurize illegal tourism and all that, and that frenzy with which we trouble these animals. It's worse than zoos, these safaris these days. So I think they should be responsible tourists. That's the first thing that they can do.
Mm-hmm.
And other thing is they should be informed, read a lot and all that. And you know I think a lot of the responsibility lies there only. So we want
Mm-hmm.
to watch the wild. We like the idea of sitting in Machan on a starry night, but
Yeah.
we want to zip through Innova cars at 4-lane roads with mineral water bottles and all that.
Yeah.
And that itself is so if they do so much, I think that is a lot. This
Right.
raising funds through schools and all that. I don't believe in all that kind of thing. Be well
Mm-hmm.
informed, appreciate nature, and really recognize what it is that involves conservation. That is the
Right.
most important thing.
Yeah. So I think in a very short time, you told us a lot of things about lions, mammals, wildlife conservation, and being a woman in the field. So thank you very much for your time, Dr. Meena.
Thank
You
you,
really,
Pankaj. I think you've charted the conversation in a very interesting way. And sometimes, there's so much to be said. You say a lot. I hope
yeah,
I've not overwhelmed the interview with a lot of information. But
no, no, this was, I mean, we also did our research, but whatever you have shared is, I think, it's really useful to all our
okay,
audience. So
all right.
thank you
Thank
once
you.
again for being on the platform, People of Nature.
Bye.